Good evening and welcome to this meeting of Rother District Council. My name is Councillor Brian Drayson, Chairman of the Council. This meeting is being held remotely and is being live streamed via YouTube. The recording of this meeting will be available afterwards on our website. All members are reminded to put their mobile phones on silent if they have one near them, and to both switch off their cameras and mute their microphones when not speaking, as this will reduce any distractions, feedback and background noise. The following members and officials are asked to please leave their cameras on throughout the meeting. Councillor Doug Oliver, Leader of the Council, Councillor Carl Maynard, Leader of the Conservative Group, Councillor Kevin Dixon, Leader of the Lib Dem Green Group, Councillor Christine Bayliss, Leader of the Labour Group, Mr Malcolm Johnston, Chief Executive, and Councillor Cathy Harmer, Vice Chair, and obviously myself as Chair. This will leave space for the members who wish to speak and give the public, hopefully give the public watching via YouTube a better experience. I'll first ask the Democratic Services Manager to do a roll call to check that all members who are expected to be present are. When your name is called, please turn on your microphone and confirm you are connected. Thank you. Mrs Cooper.
Thank you, Chairman. Councillor John Barnes.
Present.
Councillor Mary Barnes.
Present.
Councillor Bayliss.
Present.
Councillor Bird.
Present.
Councillor Brewerton. Councillor Brewerton. Councillor Brown.
Present.
Councillor Byrne.
Present.
Councillor Carroll.
Present.
Councillor Clark.
Present.
Councillor Coleman.
Present.
Councillor Cook.
Present.
Councillor Courtell.
Present.
Councillor Dixon.
Present.
Councillor Drayson.
Present.
Councillor Mrs Earl Williams.
Present.
Councillor Errington.
Present.
Councillor Field.
Present. Could I just also add, a lot of members today seem to be at some distance from their microphones.
Councillor Ganley.
Present.
Councillor Gray.
Present.
Councillor Harmer.
Present.
Councillor Mrs Hart.
Present.
Councillor Giawan.
Present.
Councillor Johnson.
Present.
Councillor Mrs Kirby Green.
Present.
Councillor Langlands.
Present.
Councillor Madeley.
Present.
Councillor Maynard.
Present.
Councillor Mear. Councillor Mear. Councillor Mooney.
Present.
Councillor Norton.
Present.
Councillor Oliver.
Present. May I please add that I had contact from Councillor Brewerton. She needed to go to the hospital earlier today and therefore indicated that she could be delayed.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Osborne.
Present.
Councillor Proshak.
Present.
Councillor Stevens.
Present.
Councillor Thomas.
Present.
Councillor Timpey.
Present.
Councillor Vinehall. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr Cooper. Can we have one more try contacting Councillor Mear, because he was here earlier, but he said he had problems with his microphone. Councillor Mear, are you there? No, he's gone into wherever people go. Thank you. Any
Chairman,
apologies?
Chairman, sorry, he has typed present in the chat.
Oh, yes.
So he's
Sorry,
present,
yes.
but we can't hear him.
Thank you. Thank you. Agenda item 1, apologies for absence, please.
Councillor Brewerton, I suggest we give apologies, and Councillor Curtis.
Thank you. Agenda item 2, minutes of the previous meetings are held on the 21st of September and the 5th of October as a correct record. If members have any comments on the draft minutes, please indicate in the chat facility. I'll wait a short while to allow you to do so. Do I have your approval then to sign at a later date the minutes of the council meetings on the 21st of September and the 5th of October as a correct record of the proceedings?
Agreed.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Thank you. In the absence of any objections, I will take that as confirmation. Thank you. Item 3, disclosures of interest. Are there any disclosures by members of personal and disclosable pecuniary interests in any of the matters on the agenda? If so, please declare the nature of any such interest and whether members regard the personal interest as prejudicial under the terms of the Code of Conduct.
Mr. Chair, item number 9, as I have a business and have claimed the business grant. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Harmer.
Councillor Vinehall, the same.
Thank you.
Councillor Barnes, because of the items on the agenda, they may not get called, but I ought to declare I'm an East Sussex County Councillor and Chairman of Etchingham Parish Council. Both interests personal, not prejudicial.
Thank you, Councillor Barnes.
Councillor Brown, CB 2073 in regards of holiday let personal.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. Any others?
CB 2064 Economic Recovery Action Plan as an executive member of Sussex County Council. It's just a personal interest. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Maynard.
Can I declare a non-pecuniary interest in CB 2073? I own a small business, but I have not claimed an additional restrictions grant discretionary scheme.
Thank you. Are there any further disclosures? Thank you. Members are reminded to repeat those interests at the time that the relevant matter is being discussed. Thank you. Item number 4, Chairman's communications. Thank you. Live events have continued to be few and far between, but I'm pleased to say that I've been able to attend some in person since our last full meeting. On the 24th of September, I was invited to take part in a training session at Bexhill Bowls Club as part of the Bowls England Let's Roll initiative to attract new people to the sport. I was made to feel very welcome by Club Secretary John Bishop, and after an hour's tuition from Coach Bob Budd, I stayed for another 2 hours to play in a triples game. From Bowls England's point of view, they've had a minor success in that I've now joined Bexhill Bowling Club, and my Secret Santa wish list has a number of bowls-related items on it. Sadly, lockdown 2 and the weather put paid to my planned tennis tuition in Edgerton Park, although that was probably a blessing for the coach. I was able to attend the annual Macmillan Coffee Morning held in one of the beach huts in Bexhill on Saturday, the 26th of September. This socially distanced event, against all the odds, was able to raise over £2,000. On the 9th of October, we learned that Councillor Susan Projak had joined Councillor John Barnes as a member of the British Empire. Councillor Projak received her MBE for services to the community in Robertsbridge. On behalf of us all at this first opportunity as a council, I would like to congratulate her on this well-deserved recognition.
Yeah.
I was able to accept the Mayor of Bexhill's invitation to the installation of the Poppy Car on Bexhill's seafront in October. Councillor Lynn Langland's inspirational repurposing of last summer's unused floral prop is to be applauded. It gave a real focal point for this year's Acts of Remembrance, and gave the Royal British Legion an unexpected opportunity to collect donations towards its Poppies appeal. On Remembrance Sunday, I laid a wreath on behalf of Rother District Council on the Bexhill War Memorial, while the Vice Chair, Councillor Cathy Harmer, laid a similar wreath at Little Common. It was brought home to me this year that it is all too easy to forget there are still people whose lives have been directly affected by World War I. I was honoured to place a cross on behalf of a Shielding resident in my ward at the War Memorial. The cross was in memory of her grandfather, Regimental Sergeant Major Nelson Carter, an Eastbourne man who was posthumously awarded the VC for conspicuous bravery on the 30th of June 1916. Quite a reality check, having been lucky enough to grow up with both sets of my grandparents. At the end of October, I was able to attend the launch of the Bexhill Creative and the opening of a new outlet for artists in Bexhill in Little Common. I'm glad to see that art is still happening despite COVID, and the recently begun installation of the sculptures along the 1066 Country Walk is very good news. On the 18th of November, a virtual civic meeting was hosted by the chair of East Sussex County Council. This meeting was attended by many chairs and mayors, as well as the Lord Lieutenant and High Sheriff of the county. The mayors of Bexhill, Battle and Rye attended, and by some mysterious means, Councillor Langlands and I were apparently volunteered to update the group with our experiences of coming into office during the pandemic. Following a grant from this council, the Bexhill Environmental Group were able to complete the planting of 525 mixed species of trees on Bexhill Common over the last weekend in November. I was very surprised by how long it took me to plant just 17 trees, but great to know that when I'm long gone, they will still be there. On the 6th of December, I was able to join with the other members whose wards cover Little Common on the roundabout, socially distanced of course, to switch on the Christmas lights. I'd like to thank all the towns, villages and individuals across Rother who have managed to give us a little glimpse of normality with their fantastic Christmas light displays. Last Wednesday, I was able to visit Upgrade Training in Bexhill and hear about the excellent work they are doing. They have just won the Sussex Sports Community Engagement Award. This family-run company works with young people who do not respond to traditional forms of education across East and West Sussex. Students are referred by local authorities and other agencies. Basically, the self-discipline that comes with practicing any martial art is used to aid academic learning. Upgrade Training also stepped in to provide assistance to parents who found themselves home tutoring during lockdown 1, and more recently COVID catch-up classes. I wish them all the best for the future. Before returning to the agenda, and following our move into Tier 4 of the coronavirus restrictions, I'd like to ask the leader of the council to address members. Councillor Doug Oliver.
Thank you, Chairman. It was a very brief stay in Tier 3 after receiving the update last Wednesday evening for implementation. And then we moved very quickly to Tier 4. Based on the infection rates in Rother, which are now well above the England national average and continuing to spread very quickly. I know members are receiving updated information from various sources. We know these restrictions will be very difficult, particularly for those affected over the Christmas holiday and their plans, but it is essential that we follow the guidance just for this year so we can slow up the virus. And I know that we have been cascading the messages from the county and locally on our platforms, social media platforms, to all our residents to listen to the advice and stay safe. I would like just to add very briefly that I know that the Chief Executive has made arrangements for certain staff to be on call over the holiday period. And the staff, as you all know, have been working significantly under this demanding challenge these last few months, but they are actually going to be around, some staff on call, should the situation occur. And I'm sure that we would acknowledge the efforts that have been put in by members and staff during this unbelievably difficult period. So I really do just urge everyone to stay safe over Christmas. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Oliver. Before returning to the agenda, I'd just like to mention we've heard tonight the sad news of the death of former councillor Jackie Potts, who was councillor for Old Town between 2015, I think she was first elected. Any loss at this time is sad. I believe Councillor Cortell met her in hospital when he was recently an inpatient there. Should anyone, I'll come to Councillor Maynard perhaps first, if anyone wishes to make a comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Chairman. And obviously, former Councillor Jackie Potts was councillor, as you've already mentioned, for just 4 years. But anybody who enters into public service makes a significant contribution, and certainly Conservative members, and I think even other members of the council, will certainly be well aware that she was involved professionally working on the behalf of the Conservative Party. I believe for over 20 years. She actually retired and came back out of retirement to go back in to working for the party locally. But she was a very genuine, very genteel, very always immaculately dressed lady who I think anybody who knew her only had nice things to say about her. She was quietly spoken, diligent in what she did, and an excellent ward councillor. But more than that, as obviously it is the human side of these things, and obviously we all regret the fact that I'm here yet again. It seems for the umpteenth time this year, paying tribute to a former councillor. Thankfully, I don't believe it was COVID. As far as I'm aware, she had a number of long-term health issues, which culminated obviously in a further decline recently. But anybody who I'm sure knew Jackie would like to pay warm tribute to her personally, not just as a councillor. And once again, it's very sad to be sitting here this evening recording the passing of yet another colleague that so recently served on the council. And certainly I only found out this evening that she had in fact passed away last Friday. So thank you very much, Chairman, for the opportunity to pay tribute to Jackie. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Maynard. Councillor Project, I'm going to come slightly out of order. I shall come to you shortly in anticipation of what you were going to say. Councillor Cortell.
Thank you, Chair. And I appreciate your mentioning that I'd met her in the cardiology unit. She was a delightful person. I felt very comfortable with her across party lines over a number of years.
Councillor Cortell, can I just say, can I ask you perhaps to sit closer to your microphone or speak louder? We can barely hear you.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Slightly better.
I apologise for being faint. I'm usually on my laptop. This time I'm on my iPad for the first time, so I apologise if I'm not getting used to handling the iPad.
Well, strangely, your explanation was a lot louder than anything else you were saying. So carry on doing what you're doing, Councillor Cortell.
Thank you, Councillor Drayson. Yeah, I've raised the tone of my voice a bit and got closer to the machine. It was an honour and to have the opportunity to talk to her on her last night in the cardiology unit before she got transferred to the renal unit in Brighton. And she seemed very calm and very brave that evening. And I offer my deep respects to her.
Thank you, Councillor Cortell. Councillor Gray.
Thank you, Chair. as one of the newly elected councillors in Old Town and Walsham, I met Jackie Potts very briefly, and I would just like to add my condolences to her family and friends and say how sad I am at her loss.
Thank you, Councillor Gray. Councillor John Barnes.
Chairman, I knew Jackie Potts for very many years as a staunch servant of the Conservative Association, of which I had the honour to be president. She was really a dedicated servant of the party, and it was a very welcome move when she used her retirement to take a position as an elected member of this council. I was sorry when she was defeated because I know she cared greatly for her electorate and was a good servant of them. I hope we can pass our condolences to her family. We're going to miss Jackie an awful lot. She was a very nice person.
Thank you, Councillor Barnes. I've just checked the participant list and nearly everyone has their microphones off. And so I've got a feeling there's something with the internet, the weather, the foul weather or something tonight. So can all members make a point of speaking up? I think it's general interference. Councillor Prochak.
Thank you, Chairman. May I too add my condolences to Jackie's family and friends. But I did indicate to speak to thank you for recognising my great honour. Really is a great honour to have the award, and I've had so many lovely, genuine congratulations from so many people from all sides. But I just wanted to say it is an award really for my amazing community of Robertsbridge and Salehurst. I have so many stories in this community of people's kindness and generosity, so many. But in this brief moment, I'd like to say thank you to the people who make it possible for us to do these amazing jobs. And there's the parish council, there's my colleagues on the council, but also very much the officers who go to when we have a problem and they solve it for us. And so I would like to thank the officers of this council as well. So thank you very much, Chairman, for mentioning that and congratulating me. I feel very proud. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Prochak. Right, returning to the agenda, members should note that there is an updated agenda item 7, the report of the Cabinet, but all members should have received this update via email. So moving to agenda item 5, there are no questions submitted by the public, I believe. Can you just confirm that, please, Mrs. Cooper?
That's correct, Chair. No questions received.
Thank you. And agenda item number 6, questions from members of the council. Again, no questions have been received.
That's correct, Chairman. No questions received.
Thank you very much. So moving on to agenda item 7, which is to receive a report of the Cabinet on matters for determination by full council at its meetings held on the 2nd of November and the 14th of December 2020. There were no recommendations made to council from the other two cabinet meetings, sorry, the other 3 cabinet meetings. Thank you. Councillor Oliver.
Thank you, Chairman. I look to move the reports of the meetings held on the 2nd of November and the 14th of December be approved and adopted.
Thank you.
Councillor Prochak, I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Prochak. Right, I will now call over the reports. Cabinet meeting the 2nd of November 2020, Cabinet Minute CB 2063, Medium Term Financial Plan 21-22 to 25-26. If you wish to call this over, please indicate in the chat facility. Thank you. Minute CB 20/64, Economic Recovery Action Plan. Thank you. Cabinet minutes of the 14th of December 2020. Minute CB20/77, procurement strategy. Councillor Barnes, is that a misprint by any chance? A typo?
Sorry, I didn't hear that, Chairman.
You're calling over 2073, and that's not on my list. Was it in relation to the economic recovery plan? 64.
No, I'm ahead of you, Chairman. CB 2073 is the Cabinet of 20th November. We're not there yet.
Right. Yes, sorry. Thank you. Slightly turned my brain to mush then. So carry on. I'll just repeat, CB 2077 procurement strategy. Did anyone wish to call that over, please? Thank you. And CB 20/78 community governance order, the parish council for Bexhill-on-Sea. Thank you. As none of the minutes have been called over, reserved for discussion, and they've already been moved and seconded, I shall now put the motion to a vote. Mrs. Cooper.
Thank you, Chairman. Councillors, I'll call your names out alphabetically. Please answer for, against or abstain. Councillor John Barnes.
For.
Councillor Mary Barnes.
For.
Councillor Bayliss.
For.
Councillor Bird.
For.
Councillor Brewerton. Sorry, she's not present. Councillor Brown.
For.
Councillor Byrne.
For.
Councillor Carroll.
Abstain.
Councillor Clark.
For.
Councillor Coleman.
For.
Councillor Mrs. Cook.
For.
Councillor Courtell.
For.
Councillor Dixon.
For.
Councillor Drayson.
For.
Councillor Mrs. Earl Williams.
For.
Councillor Errington.
For.
Councillor Field.
For.
Councillor Ganley.
For.
Councillor Gray.
For.
Councillor Harmer.
For.
Councillor Mrs. Hart.
For.
Councillor Giawan.
For.
Councillor Johnson.
For.
Councillor Mrs. Kirby Green.
For.
Councillor Langlands.
For.
Councillor Madeley.
For.
Councillor Maynard.
For.
Councillor Mear.
For.
Councillor Mooney. Councillor Mooney. Councillor Norton.
For.
Councillor Oliver.
For.
Councillor Osborne. Councillor Proshak.
For.
Councillor Stevens.
For.
Councillor Thomas.
For.
Councillor Tempe.
For.
Councillor Vinehall. That's carried, Chairman.
Thank you, Mrs. Cooper. I think I heard Councillor Mooney speaking over somebody else. I think he did vote for. Can you confirm that, please, Councillor Mooney?
Yes, I said for.
Thank you.
Thank you, noted, Chair.
Agenda item 8, to receive the report of the Executive Director in accordance with paragraph 17A of the Overview and Scrutiny Procedure Rules and paragraph 4 of the Budget and Policy Framework Procedure Rules of any urgent decisions taken at Cabinet meetings held on the 5th and 9th of October 2nd of November and 14th of December. Councillor Oliver.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to move the report be received.
Thank you.
Councillor Projak, second.
Thank you, Councillor Projak. The decisions referred to in this report have already been taken by Cabinet and actioned by officers. Therefore, the report is for noting, but members nevertheless may wish to debate the matters within the report. However, they should be aware that they cannot move any amendments thereto. And before I open the debate, I would just like to ask Councillor Jonathan Vine Hall, Cabinet Portfolio Holder for Strategic Planning, a question in relation to Cabinet Minute CB 2069, which was the Burwash Neighbourhood Plan, in which it was resolved to submit representations 2 to 22, but to defer representation 1 until it had been discussed by him and officers. But it's still up to be in by the 6th of November. And I just wonder if Councillor Vine Hall could update us on that one, please.
The recommendation was discussed and agreed, and I actually also circulated that to Councillor Barnes for his input as the most concerned ward member on that. He'd raised a number of issues with Councillor Kirby Green, and that was submitted. And I think for clarity, it's important to understand it's a bit of an odd thing, even though once the plan is submitted, it is effectively the council's plan. The council is also a consultee, and so that the finished consultation response is submitted, if you like, by the planning department to the planning department, and it goes in with all the other Regulation 16 consultation responses. And I'm sure at this very moment the planning department is putting them all up on the website so that all the Regulation 16 consultations are seen at the same time.
Thank you, Councillor Vine Hall. Councillor Barnes, I'm not sure which one. I was coming to John Barnes, who wished to discuss 2073. Is that still you?
I would to discuss 2073, but since we've talked about 2069, I ought to perhaps say that I think the Parish Council were very pleased at the decision that was reached, and I would thank the Cabinet for deferring that matter so that the important dispute about the first bit of the Council's response was resolved to their satisfaction. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Councillor Barnes. And now I believe you went 2073.
Yes, Chairman. It's not that I wanted to comment on a decision that has been reached, but both in relation to this and to other grant schemes, I'm wondering how, when action has been taken, we learn what that action was. And it may be that it should come back to scrutiny committee in some way. So it just seems to me we need to get onto the public record for the sake of transparency, what actions have been taken to fulfill those decisions. There is also, I think, one lesson to be learnt from these grant schemes. And I think when we go forward with the new one, which I gather we're going to do, we do need, I think, to give adequate time for businesses to become aware of them. I understand why the timetable was short on the earlier one, but on the new one, which is going to come up as a result of the decisions taken last week and announced by Robert Jenrick, I hope very much we can give a little more time to people to respond and make their bids. Thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Barnes. Malcolm, Mr. Johnson, you're in the frame for noting that one as well as myself.
Thank you, Chairman. Duly noted. I mean, all I can assure members is that once the grant scheme is introduced, we have a very small team of people, I have to say, but who are busy paying out grants to people, and we can report on the number of grants in due course and on payments made to businesses. We've received some excellent feedback on the scheme. Obviously, part of the difficulty we have is that, how can I put this subtly, things tend to move very quickly in this environment, and people are expected to respond very quickly. But I can assure you that my colleagues are busy working away on it and busy getting money out the door as quickly as we can. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Councillor Bayliss, just a slight reminder to use chat, but I realise you go into so many meetings, you probably don't know where you are sometimes. But Councillor Bayliss.
Yes, thank you to Councillor Barnes for calling in this item. I just wanted to take this opportunity, I think, to thank Chris Watchman and his team in Robin Venard's department as the lead on the COVID recovery plan and economic development. Obviously, I've had quite a lot of inquiries from businesses about financial support, and they have always bent over backwards to help businesses find their way through sometimes which can be a thicket of documentation and regulations and what have you. And whilst the original grant scheme, was like fill in your rates number and we will give we will send you some money in the post, which was really helpful as we've gone on. So the application has become a slightly more complicated, and they've always been really, really helpful. So I would like to place my thanks on for their dedication and for their support for our business sector, some of whom would seriously have gone out of business if we hadn't have been able to get this money out quickly and efficiently. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bayliss. Before I come to you, Councillor Dixon, I just want to echo that. Actually, somebody wrote to me, a Lewis resident, saying they've been told by their friend in Bexhill that I'd been really helpful. What was the secret? And I have to say, well, we just had really good officers and staff who tried their best. And in fact, I said, bend over backwards. I just pointed them in the right direction. But it does help to have a good relationship with officers and councillors. And I think he made a comment similarly. Thank you. Councillor Dixon.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd just like to reassure councillors that the shorter time span on this application was purely because of Christmas and wishing to get all the applications dealt with and paid before the Christmas break, and not giving anyone any false sense of hope. We're probably putting in late applications and they wouldn't get paid until January. I can reassure members that Mr. Venard has pledged to make sure the desks are clear before the Christmas close down, and also that there are emergency procedures in place if we need to do any personal self-isolation grants through the close down period. And I just simply echo what Councillor Bayliss has said about the professionalism and of the team that have been doing this, that have turned money around very, very quickly, and are a credit to our organisation. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Dixon. Councillor Oliver.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I can only endorse that because it's absolutely vital and necessary that we support our businesses and our residents in this way. I would just add that there have been times where there's been some interpretation required of the instructions coming through to us. And I would just like to acknowledge that our MPs, Sally Ann Hart and Hugh Merriman, have been very, very helpful in helping us get to understand. They have the access to the government departments, and sometimes we just needed to get a little bit of clarity and also get our message across as to the complexity of some of the applications. So, that's just a great way of us that have been working together with our elected members of Parliament, and I would just acknowledge and wish that to be recorded. And thank you. Thank you,
Councillor Oliver. There appears to be no more comments on this item 8, and as these matters were simply for noting, I don't intend to call a vote on this matter. Agenda item 9, to receive report of the Chief Executive on the appointment of a Cabinet spokesperson for older people. Councillor Oliver.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to move the report of the Chief Executive be received.
Councillor Prochak, second.
Thank you. Any debate? Thank you. As this matter is also simply for noting, I do not intend to take a roll call vote on this matter. Therefore, it brings me, ladies and gentlemen, to actually, before I close the final meeting of 2020, to thank you all, and to take this opportunity to wish members, officers, staff, their families, and every resident and worker in Rother the best possible Christmas you can have under the circumstances, and of course a much, much better 2021. I have no doubt we will eventually overcome the virus and life will settle down into a new rhythm. But in the meantime, it is for every one of us to follow the official advice. Merry Christmas to all of you, and please stay safe. Thank you.